The next one is Malcolm Frost. So this is a supplementary submission on the supplementary sheet, everyone. So it's page 3 of the supplementary. Yeah, sorry, this is just our problem about where it is. It's just not in the book. Thank you, Malcolm.
Yeah, somehow I missed out coming Tuesday, I don't know, to do the Wainui sewerage scheme. Anyway, your staff have sorted it out very kindly. Thanks for that. Thanks for the opportunity to say something. The situation we have, I think, with Wainui is we have an impecunious council who has serious financial difficulties, contemplating, I suppose to put it basely, attempting to shove shite up a hill at a cost of some $7 million minimum for approximately 160 houses, which are most of the time not occupied, incidentally. In a sense, it's interesting to come today with this sort of broader issue because it's, to me, symptomatic of the problem. I guess I can claim the distinction of having written an article way back that anticipated your current financial crisis. And the problem, it seems to me, and I was the person way back then who invited Bob to come along and talk to us on Wainui and such like, the fundamental sort of idea that if you aggregate costs over a huge base, then somehow you can all put $20 in a bucket and you can all take $40 worth of services out. The problem with this, and you've seen it in the newspaper today about the Oval and this, that, and goodness knows what else, is that in the end you're aggregating so many costs over the rating base, Wainui, sewerage, this, that, goodness knows what else, that you wind up making the place unaffordable. And there was a good article in the paper this week from someone who made that point. And if you look at compounding rates increases, you're going to reach the point where people simply can't afford to live in the city. And I look at the situation in Wainui, and then I know you're talking about New Brighton and such like today, and you have to say to yourself, how can one justify $7 million worth of expenditure at this stage? My view is it must go into the long-term plan and be deferred until such time as the council's financial position hopefully improves, hopefully for all our sakes, and then it can be looked at again to see if it's affordable and to see whether it's practical. I know there's people who advocate for it. My question would be, how many people, how many submitters said, yes, I'll put my hand in my pocket and I'll make a contribution to that cost? If I recall correctly, nobody. I may be wrong, you know better than me, but that fundamentally is my position. I think this is a crazy scheme. I've been associated with it right from the outset with the original hearings, and I think it probably should go in that long-term plan for future consideration.
Yeah, it's a challenging issue to address a specific issue like this in the context of the long-term plan. It probably should have been a separate hearings panel established to deal with it. But, you know, I was actually looking forward to hearing your submission the other day because it was unique on the subject because, as you say, the weight of submissions has actually been the other way around. But I cannot for the life of me understand why the previous council didn't actually put it back on the agenda after the earthquakes. I mean, the earthquakes changed everything. Yep. And it was time to have a rethink of everything, as we are having to do ourselves, which is very challenging. It means that we can't deliver everything that everyone wants at the same time. Tim?
The figures that one of the residents gave us were there were 60 permanent homes with 111 permanent residents. Would that be about right, do you think? I'm sure it is.
No, it was 40 permanent residents. Well, it was 40 occupied, you know, all year round.
Yeah, 40 homes,
yeah, 40
homes. People.
Yeah.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah, that would probably be fairly fair. I mean, the bottom line of Wainui is it's a place that most of the time is deserted. It's like a ghost town, especially in the winter. And it's just got that concentration of persons at certain times of the year.
Thank you.
Phil?
So, would you say too then that in terms of that $7 million, if we want to fix sewerage, so in fact our estuaries and harbours are less polluted, would it be better to put that $7 million, say, into fixing our wastewater schemes?
I would have thought so, because I mean, at the moment there's no real evidence that there's a problem there. everybody talks about it, but I mean, the bottom line is you could do various things with septic tanks and bits and pieces for vastly less money.
No, sorry, I was also really referring to other parts of the city which you refer to. So in fact, like because the Heathcote is badly polluted and the Avon, that in terms of putting wastewater structures in, we might be. Do you agree? We might be better to fix the pollution in the Heathcote before we tried the Wainui scheme.
I think 100%. I mean, you've got a concentration of people, haven't you? An acute problem. You don't have, to be honest, an acute problem in Wainui. You have a nice to do down the track. But if you've got a priority you've got to consider, then spending that sort of money at this particular time, I mean, it's crazy, I think. And obviously people, if they've got a desire to have it, will say, yeah, go ahead and spend it, but ask them, are you prepared to put your hand in your own pocket and cough up large? The answer will be in the negative, I suspect.
Yanni?
One of the interesting things that came through in the submissions is the choice, and people were saying that this is to enable a lot more development in Wainui. Is that, what's your view on the level of development in Wainui currently versus what this may do if it goes ahead?
Well, there is. I mean, there will always be, and there are people who want to develop there. But at the same time, you've also got to consider, are people actually, you've got to sell those things. It's all very well developing them. People need to move out there and purchase holiday homes, which are never particularly good investments, to be honest. But yeah, clearly I think, and there's been an element of that with the whole of this Wainui scheme. If you look at Rolls-Royce type nature, which was a term used to describe it originally, you'd have to think that a lot of it is to do with helping developers facilitate subdivision, on which I suppose you'd hope to command rates, revenue and such like. But whether that's practical, I don't know. You've got to sell those sections and it's got to be viable. Should you be in the business of underwriting people's, I suppose, commercial aspirations? Not in my opinion. Being a true free marketeer that I am.
Thanks very much. Thank
Very
you.
good. Thanks much.
Next one.